p.m.
What up, nation? Welcome to another edition of the Wise Take NFL Showdown. Slate Breakdown, CK013 here. You can find me on Twitter at CK_013. And of course, I represent the Wise Take Nation, which you can find at wisetake.com or on Twitter at wise_take. Week 4 was all right. It wasn't as great as I'd hoped. There were a lot of contrarian plays that went off, a lot of chalk that went off. Didn't have the right combination of contrarian to chalk as far as, right chalk, wrong chalk, whatever. But I did well in my MMEs. Ended up positive there. Didn't do well on my main team, so that's the stand. But all in all, not a terrible week. These showdown slates have really grown on me this year specifically. I know we've had these things for a full season already at this point, and I hadn't really, I've been hesitant to kind of get into it, but I have to admit, these things have really, really grown, especially now that, when NFL starts, baseball is at that end, that really grind down period. It'll really grind you down at that point where you start getting teams putting out punt lineups and all this crazy stuff. So, NFL is here. NFL, we're this is the last game of Week 4. We're about to be into Week 5 already. It's pretty awesome. And we have a decent game, Cincinnati at Pittsburgh. Decent because of the level that both of these teams are at. Starting off with Cincinnati. Cincinnati's offensive line has been awful. Their defense has been terrible. They were semi-impressive in Week 1 against Seattle. Went into Seattle and almost beat them. And they don't threw 400 yards. But since then, they've kind of shown their true colors. San Francisco 49ers beat the shit out of them. And then Pittsburgh has just really struggled to get it going. Just really unfortunate. Week 1, they did not show up. New England came in and just whooped their ass. They weren't ready to play. Then Big Ben gets hurt in Week 2. And that kind of just off the rails. Now I think I want to say they're 0-3. I want to say they're 0-3. But if I'm wrong, I'm sure Steeler fans will correct me in the comments below. 0-3, yeah, both teams are 0-3. Division rival game. If there was ever a game for Pittsburgh to play well, it's got to be this one. But I guess you can kind of say the same thing for the Bengals to a degree. But anyway, let's go ahead and start looking at this showdown slate. I think it's actually pretty juicy. We are going to do another giveaway at the end of this show. So hopefully you guys are paying attention, watch this show all the way through. Because at the end of the show, we will be doing another giveaway, which we know people love. And we love to give shit away. We like to give stuff away, giveaway. You like giveaways, we like giveaways. We'll do some giveaways. All right, let's pull up this DraftKings screen here. So in the flex, think the two most obvious that stand out from Pittsburgh anyway, and they are the most expensive, is James Conner and Schuster. Schuster does lead the team in targets, despite not getting a ton. This is a guy that's capable of double-digit targets, but because of the situation his teams are in, just doesn't get them. As far as efficiency, it's not bad. 6 for 8, 5 for 8, 3 for 7 was rough, but you can see the yardage isn't bad. He's very, very close to just having that one monster game. 81, 84, 78, very, very close. And it could be a game like this where they are playing a team like Cincinnati. Wide receivers have a ton of upside, especially with the way the NFL is nowadays with with teams getting so pass heavy. I still prefer Conner, I think, by slightly. He's winning the snap battle pretty well, over 60% of the snaps. And he hasn't been able to get it going because his team, for the most part, is either trailing or in a desperate shootout where they have to throw. But you can see against Seattle, 13 carries, 4 targets. This is where we're living. This is what he's become. But I do think on a slate like today, he could dominate the Cincinnati Bengals. I think the Steelers line has potential to dominate the Cincinnati Bengals line. So James Conner, for now, is where I'd go. I think there is some merit to pairing him with the Steelers defense. They've been very disappointing as well. 2 interceptions against, Garoppolo. Before that, not terribly great, but not terribly bad either. A 7 against Seattle. New England, obviously, just lit them up. What are you going to do, right? What are you going to do? I'm surprised that it shows 0 here. They should have got a negative for that performance. But I don't hate the idea of pairing Pittsburgh with the Steelers D in, a situation where you're thinking Conner, they keep running the ball, they're stopping Dalton, they're with the lead, and they just keep running the ball. That's one option. I also think that if I'm going to pick a quarterback, it's going to be Dalton. Not that they don't have a good running back in Joe Mixon, but you can see Dalton's throwing the ball a ton. 51 times against Seattle, 42, 36 against Buffalo in a slower-paced game. Buffalo was the only game, and that was the best defense he's played by far. It was the only game he didn't throw for 300 yards, and it wasn't that far off, right? Still got a touchdown. He's the quarterback I would want. So we'll plug him in here. We'll just go like more of an offensive build for now. As far as who to pair Dalton with, because you are going to want to pair him with somebody. I think Tyler Boyd is probably the leading candidate on a target basis. Based off volume, he's the guy. Double-digit targets in every game. I'm surprised that Pittsburgh's not using Juju this way, but maybe they will start to. Then again, this Rudolph dude seems okay spreading out the ball a little bit. And they're probably going to, in my opinion, in this game, I think they're going to run a lot. But Tyler Boyd, double-digit targets, 9,200. He's not the big ADOT guy. Huge, monstrous upside guy, obviously Ross. Now, the upside is massive. 7 for 12 against Seattle, 37 DraftKings points. Against San Francisco, 4 for 8. But a touchdown, 112 passing yards. Because look, when he catches a deep pass, look at it. 55-yard long in week 1. 66-yard long in week 2. But the downside is if he doesn't catch that bomb, this is what you're looking at. 3.2, what you got against Buffalo. So you can mix them up if you have multiple teams, which I do always recommend having multiple teams, no matter what sport it is, no matter what contest, no matter what you're playing in. Have as many teams as you can. If it comes down to having like 3 teams in a $20, if you got $60 to work with and you can either have 3 teams in a $20 contest or have 20 teams in like a $3 contest, I would definitely recommend, especially for these showdown slates, but just in general, it's the way DFS is going. It's the way it's been for a while now. Get as many lineups as you can. So I would do $23. And amongst this, like I said, Boyd would probably, for this particular build, like this is more of an optimal, in my opinion, we're going to go with Boyd because the volume's there. After that, like Joe Mixon is like probably someone I would play if I'm not playing Juju. Now, volume isn't like the issue with Joe. Like, well, it's not supposed to be. It has been to a degree, but it's not supposed to be. Joe Mixon is a guy, they want to run the ball, they want to do these things. Their offensive line is just terrible, and they can't get him any push. He did catch a touchdown against Buffalo, so you can see that was his best game. Look at the first 2 games because of how bad his team has been. The running back ends up suffering a lot of the time with how bad the team is. So certainly an option, but probably one I would do without Connor, at least in most builds. If you want to grab some more Pittsburgh, I do think that Deontay Johnson is worth a look. He caught a touchdown in his last pass, had a rushing attempt, but 6 targets, not bad. Long is 39, so they're kind of using him in that deep mode kind of deal. 3 for 6 really isn't bad at all. Looking at the snap counts from week 3, it does look like he was third in what is it? Offensive snap percentage. 79% of the offensive snaps. So he's taken the place of Moncrief, who was benched because I think he has a dislocated finger and he couldn't catch a ball. And so this is who's replacing him. So he's only 6'6". He's one option we can use to get some of the pass game exposure for Pittsburgh. The other one, of course, is in a little narrative street, is James Washington, who's played on who in week 3 played on 92% of the offensive snaps. Juju, by the way, played on 100% of the offensive snaps. So if you can get Juju, you're probably going to want him. But I'm worried about the price with Juju if they decide to run the ball more. Washington, another big play, down the field type of player. You can see the efficiency hasn't been there. He hasn't done a ton. But you got to think that if he's on the field that much and he's getting, typically we'll say 5 to 6 targets a game. Against Seattle, he only got 3. Understandable. But if you're assuming anyway, we'll say 4 to 6 targets a game. He should eventually get one. Have one game that's pretty solid. So, and we know there is some rapport here with Washington and Rudolph, college teammates, yada yada yada, all that goody good. So those are some options. But as you can see, like the main thing we're gonna need here is some value, right? Like I think that's kind of the first thing that we need. So looking at one, we got Tyler Eifert. Not a ton of volume. Next week, Eifert plays the Cardinals. That's probably going to be the day he smashes because Will Dissly just smashed yesterday. So I'm just convinced now. I mean, listen, the first 3 weeks I played tight ends against Arizona. It was great. I didn't want to play Dissly. There were rumors that Kingsbury was going to adjust the defense to be more vulnerable to a receiver, like not have the double coverage and pin up on the tight end. I don't know if he did it or not, but it didn't work if he did. And if not, he's full of shit because he didn't because Dissly smashed and had like a career game on him. So Eifert possibility. I'm not overly thrilled. Against Buffalo, 1 target. This is a little bit of a better matchup. Buffalo was a very good defense, and they were in Buffalo. But I don't love the upside. I think he's fine. This Tate dude is kind of interesting. He got 10 targets against Buffalo. Didn't play in week 1. Didn't get a ton of action in week 2. So he's kind of a question mark for me. He would fit, I think, in a trailing game script more than anything else, but he is very, very cheap. He played what, 89% of the snaps. So he played just as like Boyd played 90, Ross played 100, Tate played 89%. And the thing about Auden Tate is when he's on the field, he's got to give it a. He's got to try. I mean, I'm not saying these guys. Of course, all these guys try hard, but at some point, AJ Green's supposed to come back, and then him and Ross are just going to drop a little bit, and we're going to see a lot of Boyd Green, taking advantage of most of the target market share. So Auden Tate, assuming he's going to play in that same role, I'm cool with now. At 4,800. So as you can see here, we got Dalton, we've got 2 passing targets. We have Connor. So if Connor's going to do it, we're still expecting them to lead. So we're going to need to do something here. I think that we could go that route we discussed earlier of, let's see if there's anybody that's like dirt cheap kind of floating around. Maybe like Switzer's not really getting a ton of action, but if 1,600, if you really wanted to get desperate, you could mess with, I guess. You could always do the troll thing and see if Samuels vultures any touchdowns. He didn't get any carries or targets against in that last game. What was it, against Seattle? No. Right? I just want to see what the team is. San Francisco. Okay, he didn't get no work there. I do think it's viable to take the kickers. I expect there to be some scoring in this game because I don't think Cincinnati's defense is terrible. I know that. And Pittsburgh's defense really hasn't been impressive. I mean, they're at home. Maybe they show up a little bit. They were supposed to be decent. I don't know why they've been so bad. We do have Connor in this one, so we could go Steelers. And then as you can see, Vance McDonald, who's not playing, would be who we're left with. So we do have some room to work with. If we go with a kicker, now the question the part I always get jammed up on is which kicker do I want? Like that's another reason I want so many teams, so I could have different combinations. But so in this build, either way, the kicker is going to take away from somebody, right? Unless it's a massive high-scoring game. But like if we take Boswell, you would think in the back of your mind, you're like, is that going to take away from Connor though? Like, does that mean Connor doesn't get those red zone, like pounded into the end zone type deals? Or you take a shot on Bullock, and you're like, well, is that going to take away touchdowns from Dalton? On DraftKings, I don't think it's that big of an issue because you're getting a lot of volume. So Connor could hypothetically go, like Fournette yesterday didn't get in the end zone, but he ran for 281 yards, right? So for either side, I'm not worried. Maybe it comes down to which kickers are the best, what like tendencies. Boswell, we know is a good kicker. He's been there for a while. We know they trust him. Bullock plays for more of a struggling offense. The problem is maybe they're not down as often, but I think either guy is in play. For this particular example, I guess we'll go with Boswell. And then if you can see it, it's not terrible. It leaves you in a decent range. And like we could have gone the other way and been in the same position. We'd have had another couple $100 to work with. It won't get us anything different, but you could do one like this, do another one, and then pivot Boswell to the other kicker. But now you can make your choice. And again, more pivots to work with. Deontay Johnson, who we did talk about earlier, or Washington, who's got that big play upside if you want to go that route. I'm going to go with Johnson for this example. And then you go. Connor in the hot spot. We got... This, to me, looks more like a Pittsburgh is leading game script, and a lot of NFL is about, like, nailing the game scripts. It doesn't always work in your favor. Like, things don't... there's no rules that's like, it has to happen this way. At the end of the day, teams are going to do whatever's effective. But when I make these builds, I try to go based off of what I think makes sense. And in this particular example, we've got Connor. So if he has a monster game, a big day like that, they're just feeding him the rock. His team is probably leading. They're trying to kill some clock. We got Johnson down there for those big plays. Say it's 3rd down and long, and they got to make a play. We got a guy like Johnson. We could have used Samuel. Either one of those guys to kind of make it happen. We got Boswell, the kicker, Auden Tate. And because we don't have Juju in this lineup, we're already probably contrarian. I think a lot of people are going to try to get Juju in there. And again, like we can do another whole build with this flip-flopping this to Juju. And if we wanted to work mixing in at some point, we probably could. Like at this point... we could leave Dalton in there. Could try to go to Rudolph, but just food for thought. But that was just one build that kind of came to mind for me when I was going through. So that's gonna do it for this breakdown, guys. I told you we was gonna be doing a giveaway. I did tell you we're gonna do it, and we are doing a giveaway. So we're after them likes, right? Like everybody on YouTube is trying to chase those likes. We're trying to chase those likes. We want those, comments, everything. So First thing you got to do is subscribe to the Wise Take Nation YouTube channel, which if you're watching this, you're already here. So congratulations, welcome, and subscribe. Subscribe to that channel. Hit the notifications bell because you want to be notified whenever we put something out. We do a lot of DFS stuff. NBA is coming. You're going to start getting content on the daily, and you're not going to want to miss this stuff. But the contest is going to be similar to last week. Last week, we didn't have a direct winner. It's tough. It's a tough win. But going to be giving away... We're going to give away a month this time. So if you can guess the final score, you got to pick the winner and guess the final score of the Cincinnati-Pittsburgh game. Leave it in the comments below. You also have to like the video. You've got to like the video. And guys, even if you're not listen, you might as well partake in the contest and go after the prize. We're gonna give away a month of access at wisestake.com, which is a really good time to get it because NBA is right around the corner. NHL is about to start up, so you'll get access to all these sports over at wisestake.com. You'll get access to our Slack chat, all that good stuff. If you can win this, but you got to like the video. And guys, can we get up? Listen, likes. We've never asked for likes, and that's our mistake. That's a problem, right? We were out here trying to do things for the nation. Maybe didn't pay enough attention to the YouTube algorithm stuff. But yeah, like the video for us, man. Let's see how many we can get. I'd like to get like 75. We've never gotten close to that because I've never asked. But the last video we did for the showdown, I think it was Thursday, did pretty awesome, likes wise, and I'd like to see that number go higher. Why don't we set it lower? 50. We had like 37 in the last one. Let's go for 50 likes. We're going to do the contest. You got to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and you got to guess the final score of the Cincinnati-Pittsburgh game. Leave it in the comments below. And if you do win, we will hit you up in the comments, ask you for your email, all that stuff. We'll link up, and we'll get you into the Slack chat. We'll get you into the Wise Take Nation for a month. So, again, show some love. Appreciate it. With that said, that's going to do it for this episode. We will catch you guys tonight, later tonight, Monday night. We are doing the Wise Take Nation podcast. We'll go over some early betting action going into week 5. And then, of course, Wednesday night, we do the NFL DFS podcast. On Tuesday, I will be doing this first look video for week 4 in general. For week 5 in general. A first look kind of like this. You know the drill. If you're here, you already know the drill. If you're not, welcome. It's pretty awesome. So I'm going to get out of here. CK013, find me on Twitter at CK_013. Say hello, what up, what's doing? Follow the Wise Take Nation on Twitter at Wise_Take. And with that said, good luck.
Yeah.